I got a car worth $100,000 using the old man's money. After my husband's funeral, Ashley and I were completely exhausted, both mentally and physically. It was at that time Mia came to us, all excited, sharing this news. Sean was also smiling, looking at the contract Mia had gotten. What does that mean? Whose money did you say you're using right now? I couldn't help but let my anger explode and raise my voice. Despite Ashley and I being engulfed in sorrow after being widowed, the eldest son and his wife seemed inexplicably happy. The life insurance is being paid out, and there's the inheritance too. As Mia spoke, she pulled out my husband's bank book from her bag. Witnessing this, I burst into uncontrollable laughter. What's so funny? You're thinking of buying a car with that. That's too bad. That bank book. My laughter was followed by words that made the eldest son and his wife turn pale. My name is Kate Brown. I was once happily married to David and blessed with a daughter, Ashley, and a son, Sean. David's family has a lineage of doctors, and both his parents were physicians as well. David himself had been striving to become a doctor from an early age. I met David through a friend and was captivated by his earnestness and his desire to help people as a doctor, which led us to marry. Inspired by David's efforts, our daughter, Ashley, aspired to become a doctor herself. Ashley struggled with her studies but worked hard every day. As a mother, I quietly observed her growth. As parents, David and I never pressured Ashley into the medical profession. However, David was very pleased when she chose it on her own. Mom, I got an A-rank assessment for medical school when Ashley received an A-rank assessment from her desired high school. It felt like her hard work had paid off, and I cried tears of joy. It's too early to be happy. It's not a pause yet. I have to continue to work hard. Ashley had grown into a kind and strong person, which truly delighted me. On the other hand, our son, Sean, was the complete opposite of Ashley in character. Sean was born premature and had frequent health issues as a child, making me overly attentive to him. As Sean grew, he gained strength and developed a physique indistinguishable from his peers. He was so bright that he would score full marks on elementary school tests without attending any cram schools. I felt reassured seeing his healthy development. However, as Sean advanced to middle school and got older, he started coming home with bruises and injuries almost every day. Are you all right, Sean? What happened to you? I asked out of concern, but Sean began to ignore my care. Those are bruises, likely from fights. Boys will be boys. Such things happen occasionally. To think he used to be so frail, and now he can stand up for himself in a fight. It's a sign of growth in a way. As long as he's not bothering others, let's just leave him be. David said this with a laugh. In hindsight, maybe I should have just left Sean alone as David suggested. But because I had watched over Sean since birth, I couldn't shake the fear that if I took my eyes off him, it might lead to an irreversible situation. And I couldn't be as carefree as David. From anxiety, I often asked Sean, "Did you get hurt in a fight? Who were you fighting with?" Each time, Sean seemed to push me further. "You're annoying. If you talk to me again, I'll never speak to you again. Indeed, David had told me to leave Sean alone, and I regretted being persistent. Even after I heeded Sean's words and left him be, old wounds healed only for new ones to form. I could do nothing but watch over Sean, enduring my helplessness. Sean was certainly a smart kid, but he always ended up in fights and eventually went to the local public high school. I thought that once he became a high school student, the teenage years would end and we could talk about the future and college. But Sean didn't change. "Hand over the money, old lady," he would say, his words rough. You may think acting like a delinquent is cool, but it's not. What are you talking about? The moment Ashley said that, it seemed like a fight would break out. But considering the possibility of injuring Ashley if things escalated, I couldn't just stand by and watch. That's enough bickering. Here you go. This is for lunch money, right? Saying this, I quickly pulled out a $50 bill from my wallet and handed it to Sean. He clicked his tongue and left. Ashley watched him go with a stern look. Why did it come to this? Was I too protective? I reflected daily on whether my leniency had led to this situation. While his classmates prepared for college entrance exams, Sean remained unchanged. Whether out of frustration or not, David tried to talk to Sean many times. But Sean only spewed insults. Though not arrested, he often stayed out late with friends and had frequent encounters with the police. Eventually, after graduating high school, Sean neither pursued further education nor employment, just stayed home. Sean, what are you planning to do now? You've had good grades. Why not aim for college? You don't have to become a doctor, but you should start something. I said this to Sean, but he no longer even made eye contact with me. However, a year later, Sean, still living at home, spoke to me. Hey. I thought he was going to ask for money again, but when I turned around, Sean told me something surprising. I got my girlfriend pregnant. I'm thinking of marrying her. I was at a loss for words. Hearing this, Sean continued. I'm going to find a job. I'm ready to support my wife and child. So, can she and I live here? Wait, I need to understand the situation better. We have to talk to your father about this, too. That night, David, Sean, and I sat down for a family discussion. We decided to welcome the new family based on Sean's intention to work and his readiness to support a family. And then the day came to meet his girlfriend. On this day, David, Ashley, and I were all at home. Sean had gone to pick her up. Are they here yet? But even after the agreed time of 1 p.m. had passed, the two of them hadn't shown up. I feared they might have been in an accident. Ridden with anxiety, I called Sean, but couldn't get through. We waited anxiously, and finally, just before 3 p.m., they casually arrived. I'm back, everyone. Wow, your house is like a mansion. Oh, hi there, I'm Mia. I was taken aback by the woman Sean had brought. Despite being pregnant, she was wearing high heels. She also wore a short skirt that seemed too cold, with brightly colored nails. Holding a shopping bag from a baby goods specialty store, And this was the first thing she said. "Hello, nice to meet you. I'm Sean's mother." "Huh, you're prettier than Sean," said. "Mother, please take good care of me." For from being angry at her rude attitude, all I could do was stand in surprise without saying a word. "Where's my room?" "What?" "Oh, it's not ready yet." "Oh, I see. Well, I guess I'll just put the baby's things in the living room for now." Mia said this and strutted into the house, heading for the living room. She spoke to Sean and Ashley with the same attitude. "Sorry to keep you waiting. The checkout was busy. Took a while." As I entered the living room, Mia addressed us like that. David, Ashley, and I just exchanged looks without saying anything. Why is everyone silent? Relax. There's no need to be nervous. Make yourself at home. We were astonished by her words. We had thought it was just a day for introductions. But Mia had arrived with a lot of luggage and was showing a bold attitude. Later, we properly introduced ourselves to Mia again. She was 22 years old and worked part-time at a bar. She had gone through her parents' divorce as a child, raised by her father who eventually disappeared, leading to her living in a facility. I understand it must have been difficult to be without family. But there should still be people who manage to live decently despite that. I believe that a person's circumstances should not be an excuse for rude behavior. While Mia was sharing her background, Ashley asked her, "How far along are you in your pregnancy? I noticed your shoes earlier. You're wearing high heels. Your belly doesn't seem to be showing yet, but you need to be careful." I felt relieved at Ashley's frank words. Before Mia could respond, Sean said, "Right. I was also concerned about that. But Mia doesn't own any shoes without heels." "Yo, why don't you give her a present?" I was startled to be suddenly spoken to. No need to worry. You wouldn't know what I like anyway, right? Just give me the money, and I'll choose them myself." Mia boldly asked for money. However, Ashley confronted the two of them. "Why does Mom have to buy them for you? Why doesn't Sean give them as a present?" "But it's your mother's grandchild in my belly, you know." "So what? You're the mother, aren't you?" Scary. Is this the infamous sister-in-law bullying? It's quite funny. Ashley was furious at those flippant words, while David stayed silent, keeping his mouth shut. What an unbelievable woman. She was completely mocking us, despite it being our first meeting. However, we have to start living together now. If we get off on the wrong foot, it won't lead to a good relationship. Over time, perhaps her maternal instincts will kick in, and she'll grow up. That's what we have to hope for, that eventually she'll stop wearing heels and take care of her nails. Ashley, who had become a doctor, seemed to realize that Mia lacked parental awareness and spoke harshly to her. "First, you need to earn an income before your belly gets bigger and buy your shoes yourself. Also, you'll have to remove those nails. If a pulse oximeter can't be fitted because of them, you'll have to remove them anyway." After finishing her piece, Ashley left the living room and withdrew to her room. Mia watched Ashley's departure with a look of contempt. But upon hearing Sean's comment, just ignore her. She's probably jealous because I'm getting married first. Haha, she laughed. And with that, our new life began. Mia does go to her part-time job, but she doesn't do any housework at all. She spends most of her weekends just sleeping, using her pregnancy as an excuse. Sean initially started working, but after a fight, he quit and has been looking for other part-time jobs, which has been an unstable situation. I can't help but be troubled by this. However, David didn't interfere with the two. He probably thought they were too much to handle. Then, unexpectedly, something happened. As we were preparing baby goods, and with the grandchild's birth a month away, David collapsed at the hospital where he worked. He was treated immediately, but it was too late. I couldn't believe such a thing happened, especially when we were expecting our family to grow. And now we had to say goodbye to David suddenly. I was surprisingly downcast, and Ashley took care of me. Thanks to Ashley's encouragement, I managed to get through the funeral without showing my weakness. On the morning of the funeral, I said to Mia, "Mia, you don't have to force yourself to attend the funeral. You're heavily pregnant, and it must be hard for you." "Really? Then I'll just take it easy at home." In our region, it is not customary to welcome pregnant women to funerals. Moreover, considering the unpredictable events that could occur during the final month of pregnancy, I suggested this for Mia's safety. Mia happily agreed to my suggestion. Although it was my suggestion, I went to the funeral with mixed feelings. Sean arrived late and seemed concerned about Mia, constantly messaging her on his phone. I reprimanded Sean once for his behavior. But considering Mia was in her final month of pregnancy and could go into labor at any time, I decided not to worry about it except during the funeral. After the funeral was over, I returned home feeling exhausted both mentally and physically. While discussing dinner with Ashley in the living room, Mia came down from the second floor and handed Sean some documents. "Thanks for your hard work at the funeral. Did the old man make it to heaven all right?" Sean responded with a smile to Mia, who spoke with a grin. "Who knows? Maybe he went to hell." Ha ha ha. I got a car worth $10,000. I used old man's money. Ashley and I were shocked at Mia's words. Sean seemed to be aware of this and checked the documents without any reaction to her statement. "What does that mean? Whose money did you say you're using right now?" I couldn't help but let my anger explode and raise my voice. Despite Ashley and I being engulfed in sorrow after being widowed, the eldest son and his wife seemed inexplicably happy. The life insurance is being paid out, and there's the inheritance too. As Mia spoke, she pulled out my husband's bank book from her bag. "Is that Dad's bank book? Mia, did you find and take that while we were out?" "Mind your words. It's something we share as a family, so it's not stealing. Plus, Sean told me where it was, right?" Mia's defiant attitude suggested that Sean was probably an accomplice. I was disappointed in my eldest son's actions, but I didn't expect them to go this far. Overwhelmed with despair, I looked up at Mia and noticed the bank book in her hand, clearly with David's name on it. However, something seemed off about that bank book. The moment I realized what it was, I couldn't help but burst into laughter. Ahaha. Once I started laughing, I couldn't stop. It had been a long time since I laughed so much. As I laughed out loud, Mia's face twisted. What's so funny? Has the old lady finally lost her mind? Sean's harsh words no longer made me angry. It seems my belief in Sean's intelligence since he was a child was a misunderstanding. Instead, I felt pity even for the foolish eldest son and his wife. You're thinking of buying a car with that. Have you signed for it already? With that money? That's too bad, LOL. Did you check the balance of that account? In my words, Sean quickly snatched the bank book from Mia to check the balance. What? There's only $3 left. What? The couple looked at the bank book and turned pale. The bank book was all ready for a canceled account. The balance had been transferred to another account. This isn't a joke. Where's the rest of Grandpa's inheritance hidden? And there should be insurance money coming in, too. Sean exploded in anger, and Mia joined in, throwing similar accusations at me. Of course, there's both inheritance and life insurance in place. My in-laws had already passed away, and much of the wealth I inherited, as well as what David had built, was substantial. David, in particular, was not just an ordinary physician. He was a practicing doctor with his clinic and managed several hospitals. The total assets he had accumulated amounted to $11 million. However, that wealth was entirely self-made by David and was not just personal possessions. But in reality, most of the assets were donated and are no longer in my hands. David, as a physician, wanted the treatment fees he received from his patients to be used to save other patients. No way. Didn't you hear the newspaper article about the large donation? Didn't you see it? Hearing this, Sean showed a trembling reaction. He rarely took an interest in family matters and had never bothered to open a newspaper. So, it was perhaps understandable that he was unaware of this information. Moreover, the remaining money is deposited in an online bank. It can't be withdrawn without going through the inheritance process. What about the insurance money? When can we get it? Mia hastily grabbed the bank book and approached me. At that moment, Ashley, who was by my side, began to laugh. Do you know nothing? Insurance money is transferred into the beneficiary's account, not the account of the deceased, which means it's going to my and Mom's account. The bank book fell from Mia's hand upon hearing Ashley's words. Sean's face showed his surprise as well. Ashley and I exchanged glances and smirked at each other. What should I do now? I've already signed everything. I added so many options, and I can't cancel it. Mom, I'm begging you, just this once. Help me out with the money. Sean kneeled beside me, asking for help. A word, Mom, I hadn't heard from him in a long time. The unfamiliar names make it feel as if a stranger is asking for help. That's not my problem. After all, you two decided everything on your own. Sort it out between yourselves. I dismissed them coldly. This time, I could not bear the behavior of my eldest son and his wife. David probably felt the same way. Let's go to bed, Mom. You must be tired. Indeed, I don't have an appetite anyway, so let's skip dinner." With those words, Ashley and I stood up and left the two of them still shaken in the living room as we went to bed. During the funeral, Sean was exchanging messages with Mia because Mia was heading to sign a car deal, and they were sharing the contract details. I thought they were concerned about Mia's pregnancy, but they prioritized the car over their inborn child. David had said before his passing that even if he were to leave an inheritance, he didn't want Sean and Mia to have a penny of it. So the insurance money was rightfully transferred to Ashley and me. David was too young to pass away, but Sean was still unreliable even after starting his own family. So David had carefully planned for the unforeseeable, even writing a will. According to the will, the house, real estate, and most of the remaining cash went to me. Ashley was named the successor of the hospital, and David's investments were to be transferred to Ashley. And Sean was to be given a vast piece of land in the countryside. When we opened the will, Mia spoke up. "So, selling that land could cover the car payments, right?" I haven't finished reading. I halted Mia's words and continued reading the will. "As for the land, and a part of the cash, you'll be given $100,000 to build a house. But you are not to live in this house." What? What does that mean? We were in a family court. The will had been validated and held the full legal force of a notarized document. What does it mean? It's straightforward. Be grateful that you're getting land and money to build a house. But isn't it that Sean, as the eldest son, would eventually get the current house? Mia said this, looking at me pleadingly. I smiled at her words. I inherited it, so it's up to me whom I give it to. You must be kidding me, you damn old hag. You better hurry back home and start packing for the move. The land that David left for Sean was about 30 miles away from here by car, in a remote area. It was indeed a vast piece of land, but most of it was just a dense woodland. Even with such a large plot of land, if the construction cost is only $100,000, the house that could be built would undoubtedly be small. If there had been no inheritance, the eldest son and his wife would likely have been furious, demanding their statutory share. Whether David had anticipated this and deliberately left the land, his intentions were not clear. But I believe he wanted to provide Ashley and me with a peaceful living environment. In essence, the eldest son and his wife were not entitled to receive anything. They should be thankful for whatever they could get. A few days later, our long-awaited grandchild, a girl, was born. Ashley's water broke in the middle of the night, prompting her to call the hospital for emergency transport. However, her blood pressure dropped, making natural childbirth difficult. Furthermore, it was the middle of the night, and the hospital was short-staffed, leading to an urgent decision for Ashley to undergo a cesarean section. Ashley had repeatedly been told to remove her nail extensions, but she didn't listen. It seems the nurse had to forcibly remove them. Come on, I just got these done 3 days ago. Don't take them off. Don't move, Mia. The amniotic fluid will keep flowing out, was the commotion in the middle of the night, which, according to Ashley, took more effort than the surgery itself. I have never done modern nails, but it seems it was quite a painful experience. It truly was a case of reaping what one sows. Mia complained about the nails, but she couldn't defy Ashley, who saved the lives of both her child and herself, gradually becoming more subdued. She seems dissatisfied with the inheritance issue, but she no longer takes a big attitude with us. Moreover, I hope she is grateful that we allowed her to rest and recover slowly until a month after being discharged from the hospital. Mom, Ashley, I'm sorry. I want to live here. I'll give up the land and the money. No, you can't. You guys only earn about as much as a part-time job, right? You don't contribute to the household. If you stay like this, it will cost us over $100,000. Sean pleaded with Ashley and me in tears, but we were not inclined to help him. Given the circumstances, there was no way he could afford to buy a car. Sean, forced to cancel the car purchase, ended up having to pay a penalty fee of $10,000, which he had to manage from the $100,000 allocated for construction costs. He was reluctant to move to the countryside and sell the land to rent an apartment. But rents in this area were high, and it was beyond what Sean and Mia could afford on their salaries. There was also no prospect of finding a buyer for the land, which was mostly undeveloped woodland. According to the will, they had no choice but to build a house on that land. And they are currently looking for a contractor who will build a house for $90,000. But they seem to have trouble finding one. I'm protecting you in this house because the baby is still small. If I wanted to, I could kick you out right now. You know, Sean quieted down at my words. Then, a week later, he finally signed a contract with a building contractor. However, the house that could be built within the budget was planned to be a small one, much like a prefab shack. I doubt Mia will do proper cleaning, so a smaller house might be better. The moving day was set, and I made a certain proposal to my eldest son and his wife. We need to look for a nursery school, and until you get your feet on the ground, I don't mind taking care of the grandchild. Why don't you first become responsible adults as parents? Are you trying to take my child away, you devil? Mia, who had recently been restrained, raised her voice in anger at my words, but Sean stopped her. On my income alone, it's difficult to support the two of us. Let's rely on you for the child, temporarily. Absolutely not. I'd rather get divorced. Even if we divorce, you have no place to go, no home. Please, calm down. It seemed Sean was finally starting to accept reality. He tried desperately to make the red-faced, furious Mia understand. That was harsh. I have no intention of taking your child away. If you think you can raise her, then go ahead and try, I said sternly, and Mia quieted down, probably understanding that she had no choice but to rely on us temporarily for the child. After that, the two of them quietly packed their belongings and left the house. It might be tough for the child, but living with such parents wouldn't change the situation. Of course, if they reformed, and I felt it was safe to return the child, then it would be best for her parents to raise her. But I think she will grow up more loved and healthy with Ashley and me. We receive messages from Sean and Mia, who started a new life on a new land almost every day. I'm happy to reply when they ask about their daughter, but the conversation always turns to money. If I don't reply, they seem to want to show how hard they are struggling. Sending pictures of bread claiming it's for dinner? Ashley saw that and laughed, saying, "They'll have to cure themselves if they get sick, since medical expenses are high. Living in the countryside is impossible without a car." They are now riding in an old car that they bought for $3,000, which apparently stalls often. They probably tell these stories to elicit pity, unaware that Ashley always laughs uproariously upon hearing them. Living with the child is impossible under these conditions. But I am happy to spend time with my lovely granddaughter. The granddaughter is now 3 years old. She's adorable, and unlike Sean and Mia, she's very honest and kind. She seems to be a hard worker, eagerly learning numbers from the numeric puzzles that Ashley gave her. And she can already read hiragana. Sean and Mia continue to live leisurely, sending pictures of their granddaughter occasionally. And they seem to view her as adorable, almost like a doll. It still seems difficult for them to fulfill their roles as parents. I hope that when the granddaughter grows up, she will be able to learn from the mistakes her parents made.
Billy was amazing today.
You're so cute, so I can't help but work hard.
You're much better than the last guy.
I have more experience.
What is this conversation? I got home earlier than I expected, and I was about to take a bath when I heard my husband in a young woman's voice. I peeked in through the crack and found Billy in the bathtub making out with a woman. "Oh no, stop it!" I could hear her happy voice. While I was speaking inside for a while, the woman changed her position and put her head on my husband, and then I saw her face. At that moment, I gasped, Jody! Yes, the woman with whom he was having an affair was Jody, a woman I knew. She was Billy's niece. I'm a housewife who works in my spare time. Billy is a regular employee, a good husband at home, and a good worker. He has a good salary. I was living a good life, the envy of my friends. Then one day, things changed. My mother-in-law was injured and became wheelchair-bound. I would like my father-in-law to help my mother-in-law in such a case, but he's working, so it is difficult for him to visit my mother-in-law. That's why he asked me to take care of her. I had no choice. My husband's parents live in a suburb near the city, so we decided to stay with my mother-in-law for a while. Irene! Yes, what is it? I saw you cleaning the window earlier, but you didn't do it well enough. You need to redo it. And you haven't finished washing the rags on the porch. We need to get this stuff done quickly. Yes, ma'am. Sorry. Billy's parents live in an old-fashioned house, inherited from his great-grandfather. It is such an old house that it is difficult to do housework. Even so, I'm trying my best to do it in my own way. My mother-in-law, however, is a terrible person. She takes advantage of the fact that she cannot move around in a wheelchair, and she orders me to do this and that, and she always complains and makes me redo things. She also asks us to do things that no one does nowadays. Still, she's Billy's mom, and I did my best to endure her bullying. But, what's this? I found a small bruise on my husband Billy's neck one night. Are you okay? What happened? When I pointed it out, Billy looked a little surprised and made a gesture to cover the bruise. A bad thought crossed my mind for a moment, as if I've touched upon something I shouldn't have. I didn't expect you to be in a bad company, but you might be in a very abusive one. There are even companies that are making a big deal about it in the real media. Maybe you are being abused by your boss every day. Maybe you even get noticed having a bruise like this. Are you sure you're okay? Even though I worry about this and that, Billy just said,
It's not that kind of company. I'll be fine.
Still, Billy is looking tired these days. He often falls asleep before I can even have a conversation with him. He says he's fine, but maybe he is having a hard time at work. Children who are bullied hide the fact that they are being bullied from their parents. And maybe Billy is being bullied at work. I was so worried that I asked my sister-in-law Hannah, whom I love very much, about it later. Hannah and I have always been close. People say that we don't get along with our husband's sister, or that they work with our mother-in-law to bully us for the rest of our lives. But this is not the case for us. Hannah is one of the reasons why I'm able to withstand my mother-in-law's attitude. She listens to me very carefully. Hannah seems to have told my mother-in-law not to push me too hard. We have a good relationship. Hannah works as a secretary in a company that has a business relationship with Billy's company. And so, she told me that she has not heard any rumors. I see Billy at work sometimes, but it doesn't seem to be anything bad to worry about. I'm relieved that Billy is not being treated badly. But then, what was that thing this morning? He didn't have to hide it from me, his wife. But that day, Billy made a show of hiding it. I was still curious, so I looked at Billy's neck as he slept beside me. The bruise had faded. I noticed something. I have a feeling about the way the bruise had been gotten rid of. No way. Then it makes sense for him to hide the bruise. I noticed that Billy has been tired lately, that he falls asleep without talking to me. There is no way that this man... I have been trying so hard to be a good wife to Billy, and he has been trying so hard to be a good husband to me. But this betrayal... I am trying to hold back the urge to wake Billy up from his sleep right now and ask him a question. If I ask him now, he will just dodge my question. Besides, I still wanted to believe him. Then one day, I took my mother-in-law to the hospital, only to find that she had not brought her insurance card. Didn't you say you would bring your insurance card? I didn't say that. That's funny. My mother-in-law did say that she would bring it with her. She went to the trouble of showing me her insurance card and put it in her bag, but it's not there. Try to look again. I can't take out what's not there, so go get it. She's always picking on me. There's no point in arguing here. I gave up, left my mother-in-law in the waiting room, and went home to get the insurance card. When I got home, I saw a pair of heels I didn't recognize on the porch. They must be Billy's niece's shoes. Hannah's daughter is a junior in college and comes to visit sometime. She and my husband Billy get along well. But when I walked in the front door, I looked on the table and saw the insurance card. I sighed. My mother-in-law had left it on the table, thinking she had put it in her bag. More specifically, she left it in there on purpose, pretending to put it in her bag, to annoy me. I took the insurance card and hurried back to the hospital again. When I heard niece Jodie's screaming voice, "What?" But her scream sounded happy, like she was being spoiled. What is she doing? Is she just flirting with her boyfriend while my mother-in-law's away? Why did she go all the way to my mother-in-law's house? Just as I was thinking that, I heard a man's voice, That man sounded happy. It was definitely Billy, my husband. What's the meaning of all this? Billy should be at work right now. I was curious, so I went to the direction of the voice. But the voice was coming from the bathroom. You are amazing today!
You're so cute, so I can't help but work hard.
You're so much better than the last guy.
That's because he's not as experienced.
What is this conversation? When I peeked in through the crack, Billy and his niece Jody were in the bath together. Jody has her face on Billy's shoulder. This is cheating. Billy is having an affair. I doubted him once about the bruise, but I still wanted to believe in Billy. But I was wrong. I have endured the severe bullying of his mother because she's Billy's parent. And now, I'm shaking with anger that Billy has betrayed me like this. Hey, I'm better than Irene, right?
Of course. I don't need her anymore.
What did you say? I want to go in there and yell at him right now, but I'm holding back. I'm gonna leave, but I will give them some more punishment. Watch me. I will double the payback, but I can't do it alone. I'm the wife, but I'm in a weak position. If I make a fuss alone, they will assume I'm making up a lie, especially against my mother-in-law, because after all, it's her son and granddaughter. Of course, she would protect her son and grandchildren. She's the type who always picks on her daughter-in-law as much as she needs to. She may take advantage of this to make me look bad and kick me out. I don't care if he divorces me because he cheated on me, but I can't stand to be made the bad guy and kicked out. I talked to Hannah. Hannah and I are good friends, and I can talk to her about many things. But Hannah is technically on Billy's side. She might suddenly betray me. I was even going to threaten her that it was her daughter's problem too, but that turned out to be unnecessary. It was a needless worry, and she agreed to cooperate. Hannah had noticed that something was wrong with her daughter Jody. I'm so sorry. I'm so embarrassed. I know you've been good to my mother. I wish I could tell her that. But she wants you to do it because you're her daughter-in-law. I'm sorry that my daughter cheated with my brother, and I'm sorry that they are both my relatives. I'm so sorry. I want to jump into the ocean. So you will help me? Of course. We'll teach them a lesson. Thank you. That would be great. On the day of my mother-in-law's hospital visit, I went home for some reason to drop her off. As I expected, Billy and Jody were in the bath as usual. They were talking in a sweet voice. Are you okay?
The plan will work.
I know it's a little embarrassing to have the insurance pay us to make it look like an accident, but we're gonna need the money. What about the lady?
We'll work together to blame Irene for the accident and get rid of her. No one will know we were together, so we can fool them. Irene is so stupid that she won't be able to argue much and will run away, I'm sure.
I can't wait to live with you. What kind of stupid plan is that? You're the ones who will be running away in a big hurry. I will hide their clothes. I've already rigged the bath. I was so busy with my chores that no one will believe I'd actually been preparing for revenge. Billy is carefree in the bath, indulging in his foolish fantasy without knowing that. It's double payback. The water is probably getting hotter and hotter. I relentlessly increase the temperature.
The water is getting hot in my bathtub. Maybe it's a little too hot. I will turn out the cold water. Huh? There's no cold water. Is someone... Whoever took it out!
No, it's too hot! That's when it happened.
Boom, boom, boom.
A loud popping sound came from somewhere.
What?
It's hot! There's a scream. And then, the sound of splashing and hitting something. Screaming. Billy came running out, his body reddening. Then, Jody came out after him. Mom?
What are you doing? You're a disgrace.
Billy, I'm divorcing you. I showed them what I recorded on my phone. I made sure to record the two of them talking about their stupid plan in the bath.
No, you're wrong. There's a reason for this.
You're saying there's a reason? It's because he forced me to.
Forced is a bad word. You're the one who asked me out.
What do you mean? You're the one who asked me out. You're saying it's my fault?
You're an adult. You're over 20 years old.
Will you stop it? Everyone there was shocked and looked in the direction of the boys. There was my mother-in-law. Why is my mother-in-law here? I know I had left her at the hospital, but there was something more surprising. My mother-in-law was standing. She's supposed to be in a wheelchair because she couldn't stand due to her leg injury. Billy, Jody, stop it. I knew from the beginning you guys were shady. That's when I made a plan. I lied about being hurt, Billy, and I let you stay.
Huh?
And then you just came right out with your tail between your legs. Pathetic. A dog in heat.
Damn it.
Billy lowered his head. I took pictures of old evidence when you two were sneaking around. I can take pictures with my phone too, you know. So there's no way you can say it's just this one time. Jody lost her strength and slumped down on the spot. Later, when all the commotion had died down and she had regained her posture, my mother-in-law spoke to me. This is where I learned the truth. I'm sorry for having acting this way and that to you. It was an attempt to distract you. Please forgive me. My mother-in-law's parents had divorced, and the reason was her father's unfaithfulness. So she raised her son not to cheat like her father, but still he cheated with his niece. My appearance when he was cheating on me was so painful for her that she kept me busy by being mean to me, so that I would not notice Billy's affair. But Irene, you are not the weak woman I thought you were. You took it into your own hands to punish them. You even got Hannah involved, so I decided to join you. So you did. My mother-in-law grinned. Billy jumped out of his skin at the sound, huh? Sound? Was that you? That's right. I was the one banging the pots and pans in the kitchen. Bam, bam. She laughed out loud. I laughed too, thinking of Billy's panic. My father-in-law heard about Billy's affair. Cheating alone is a mortal sin, but to have a niece as a partner is even more outrageous. Billy was disowned without excuse. Jody was scolded severely by her mother's family, expelled from college, and was grounded. Both of them are too embarrassed to talk to anyone because of what happened to them. I divorced Billy and went to the city to work. I was able to go back to the company I worked for before we got married. I still keep in touch with my mother-in-law and Hannah. My mother-in-law, Hannah, and I share an unspoken secret of my husband having an affair with his niece.